So welcome to probably one of the last couple of videos on this series. So we've been looking at how to make a model railway layout for beginners, and we've got up to actually making the layout. So obviously the next thing we need to know is all about our locos and rolling stock. So what are we going to need? Well, the minimum we're going to need is a locomotive, a couple of coaches, a couple of goods vans, a couple of coal wagons, one of which we'll make full and one we'll make empty. And if you're going to use the cattle dock, a couple of cattle wagons. Now, obviously, if you're going to use this as your loading bay, which was one of the other options, then you could lose the 2 cattle wagons. But you're going to need at least 6 bits of rolling stock. And this is where the hobby gets a little bit expensive, because the current cheapest price for these new is about £10 each. So the minimum you're looking at is about £60 plus here just for your rolling stock, getting towards 80 if you need cattle wagons. I won't get into a rant here on the price of new things. I think £10 for 2 bits of moulded plastic and a couple of wheels is pushing it. Most people will end up using these Hornby coaches. £18 for a coach, which is literally 2 bits of moulded plastic and some wheels, it is really extortionate. I know all sorts of economic reasons why people say that might be the case, but this is a product are 40 odd years old, and it's difficult to believe, to encourage people in the hobby, that they couldn't be a little bit cheaper. So I know that this is what a lot of people will look at. Oh, it's a shame the sound doesn't work. We've just had a Spitfire fly over, which sounds lovely over my layout. However, rather than paying £18 for one of these, I would suggest buying one of those for £18. These seem to be in the current range. There's still a few of them about. Again, I would have views on the price of this, given that this is a very old moulding. This goes back to Triang, so it's a 40 or 50-year-old moulding. Very difficult to believe that it needs to be £20 retail. But that's where we are. If we're buying this as a new layout, that I would use. Now, you need to get the brake version, because if you're going to only run one coach, it needs to be a brake coach. But at least one of those will look very nice on here, rather than having to buy the 4-wheel coaches. You can buy the 4-wheel coaches, they're always available, but I do think they're a bit expensive. I'll come on to secondhand in a moment. So that's our coaches sorted. Oh, excuse the camera angle there. A couple of ways of doing the wagons. Daypole, we've used Daypole extensively on this. They do make wagon kits. It is possible to buy those for around the £7 or £8 mark, although that's only a few pound cheaper than a ready to run. If you're buying 6 wagons, that's very soon going to add up and make a saving. And you also get the fun of making your own wagons. So that's a Daypole one I made. So you could make your box wagons, your coal wagons and your cattle wagons from Daypole kits. You'll have a lot of fun, and it will bring the price down. So that basically then covers our rolling stock. So we then come to the locos. So obviously the main choice, if you're doing it on a budget, will be Hornby's 040 locos, various versions of them. That's the Bagnall, the diesel. Sadly, at the moment, there's not one of these in a standard colour scheme, so you will have to have one of the sort of garish private issue. The main thing is these run really well. The Bagnall is one of the nicest running locos I've ever bought. You can at the moment buy various ones of the 040s, the steam locos, for down to as little as £25 brand new. You might be as unlucky enough to pay about 38 for them if you get them direct from Hornby. They are great running locos. I'm a huge fan of the 040s, and you could have a great deal of fun running your layout just with the 040s. The problem is that they are the only budget locos currently available. Hornby until recently did have an 060, which would give you a slightly larger locomotive. Very nicely done, but creeping towards the £50 mark. Again, occasionally discounted down to around 30. So that would be the other option, is to keep an eye out for the 060s. So let's just get one of those here for you. So 060 means it's got 3 wheels each side, and versions of those do occasionally come into the Hornby range and can occasionally be bought as a discount. But that's it in this country. One range of 040s, and if you're lucky, an 060. Very occasionally, if you try hard. So this was an £80 loco, which I managed to get for £50 plus £4 postage from Kernell Model Centre. So it is possible to get some cheaper, larger locos, but it's luck and shopping around. So I suppose that brings us to second-hand. All our model railways are done second-hand. This is why this layout was a break from tradition. That is getting very hard now. Second-hand prices for locomotives are getting silly, largely because everybody in lockdown seems to have found the time to go through the loft and clear out their dad's model railway collection. The problem is they're all looking at the cost of new locos, halving it and thinking that's a reasonable price for what's an old knackered loco. The other huge problem at the moment is that people are listing locomotives, often boxed, often in lovely condition, describing them as immaculate used condition, and when you contact them, they don't even know if they run. I can see why that's happening, but obviously the convention of selling stuff on eBay is to say whether it runs or not. And frankly, a lot of what's out there now, if it doesn't say it's a runner, don't assume it is. Just because it was running 20 years ago does not mean it will run now, as somebody tried to convince me. There are some very good second-hand model railway shops. So Classic Rail, Ticehurst in Kent, has a website. He would be my favourite. They're all good locos. AGR models occasionally have both new, cheap and some very nice second-hand ones. Please be very careful. There are one or two chances out there, retailers charging very large sums of money for what are very old models. Have a good look round at prices before you buy second-hand. Same problem applies at shows and exhibitions. You've got no way of testing it. And certainly I've been assured by traders that locos run, only to find them very, very poor runners. So although I'm a huge fan of second-hand and it is definitely the way to go, it is quite problematic at the moment to get right. So relatively easy to build the layout, lots of kits available, getting harder and harder to buy second-hand. Most of your locos and rolling stock would have to be new, and that's quite limited. And unfortunately, you could probably build the layout for 60, and if you've got to buy 6 bits of rolling stock and a loco new, that's going to cost you another 100, even buying the baseline products. It is an expensive hobby, but that's what, if you're buying new, your options are. I have to say that second-hand rolling stock is largely trouble-free. But again, avoid some of the high prices that people are trying to charge. £3 or £4 for a second-hand wagon is more than enough, given that you can buy a new one for 10. So there we go. That's your options to get your locos and rolling stock. I have a slightly larger collection. All this was bought second-hand. It is possible still to get a few bargains. That recently I purchased for £9, including postage on eBay. But some of those are awful, so you do need to be careful shopping around. I've got an old Hymec there that cost me about 20. It is possible to do it second-hand, but you are going to have to be a little bit careful. But new, my big strong recommendation, let's pull this where you can get a better look at it. Even if you've got to pay £30, £35 for a new one, the Hornby Bagnall is a lovely, lovely running loco. It runs well, it looks good, and it would be a great way to start your model railway layout. And the green livery is, if you want to be correct, just right for this sort of period. Early BR green, chuck a few black locos in there as well. So have a shop around and enjoy your model railways. That hopefully gives you an idea of what you're going to have to pay and what's available to get your locos and rolling stock. As always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the series. I've enjoyed making it. It's been different for me to actually go and see what I can buy new to build a layout. Usually, as always, as I say, everything would be second-hand. In the end, I've used a little bit of second-hand scenery on this just to finish it off, but you could make what you can see here from new and have a lot of fun doing it. And this is really quite a nice atypical little shunting terminus layout. And as I'll show in a later video, you can have a lot of fun with this. I sat last night for several hours shunting and running various locos, some even quite large ones. So it's been good for me. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. as I say, we'll do another video on Locos running. And thank you always for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We love subscribers. And don't forget to click notifications so that you get told when we've got new videos up and coming. So there we go. Thank you very much. Hi, thanks for watching the video and for the nice comments. Click on the left for a previous video in this series, click on the right for another video you might enjoy, and please don't forget to click to subscribe, like, comment, etc. Thanks again.